Hello, I'm Veronica, Claire's mum. Welcome to Claire's Food Haven and another Mum's Mondays. Today we're going to make a lemony chicken dish with chicken thighs, and to go with it we're going to have parmesan parsnips, and we're going to serve that for dinner tonight with mashed potato and green beans. So first of all, running through the ingredients, we've got 600 grams of boneless, skinless chicken thigh fillets. We've got 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon and a sliced lemon to go with it. We've got a tablespoon of plain flour, 2 cloves of minced garlic, which I've already put through the garlic crusher, 30 grams of unsalted butter, and we're going to use half a tablespoon each of dried oregano and dried thyme, perhaps half a teaspoon of salt, but we might not need that much salt because we're also going to use a stock pot made up to 250 ml of water, and depending on how salty that is, we might not need that much salt in the recipe. And then we've got some olive oil for cooking the chicken thighs. So that's the ingredients for the lemony chicken dish. And now the ingredients for the parmesan parsnips. We've got 85 grams of plain flour, 25 grams of freshly grated parmesan, and into the flour I'll put some salt and freshly milled black pepper, and then we've got 4 big parsnips here. I'm sorry I didn't weigh the parsnips, but it looks like about 1.5 pounds probably. So the first step is to prepare the parsnips for the parmesan parsnips. I'm going to chop off the tops and bottoms. And now I'm going to peel them, just with an ordinary potato peeler. I'll give them a rinse under the tap. That's the parsnips rinsed. And now to prepare them for cooking, I'm going to chop the bottom half off and then cut it in half again. And I'll do the same with all the thin bits first. Oh well, I'm not going to cut that in half, it's not big enough. It'll be okay as it is. This one's a bit bigger. I'll chop it in half. Actually, I could cut this one again because it was quite long. So cut that again, chop it in half, and just leave it for now, and then chop this in half and leave it for now. Chop this one in half. And this is quite a lot bigger, so I'm going to chop that into quarters. Right, so inside the parsnip there's this woody centre bit, which is not so good to eat and not so good to digest. If you're quartering the parsnips, that makes it easy to get that woody bit out. You just cut into it and chop it out like that and chuck that away. So I'll do that with all these quarter ones. Nearly. Now, don't worry about the stalks in the littler pieces, because they don't seem to suffer from the same woodiness, I find anyway. It's these, oh, I've missed one. It's these big ones that are the problem. So, just checking I haven't missed any more. Those are okay. Now these ones that were halved and not quartered, they need a different treatment with the stalks. And the best way that I've found to do those is to trace round the woody stalk with a knife. I find a smaller knife is more handy for that, and sort of dig into the end and the other end. But you won't be able to get it out in a oneer. What I do is crisscross it with the knife. And then it makes it much easier to get that woody stalk out. You can see it's coming out now, a lot easier. Where I've crisscrossed it. So that was just to show you that if you want to keep your parsnips halved rather than quartered, you can still get the woody stalk out by using that little crisscross method. And it ends up like that. So doing the same with this parsnip, tracing around the outline of the woody stalk, then crisscrossing it, to get that out more easily. And then just digging out the, oh, that one came out great. There we are. You might say, why not just quarter them all? And yeah, you might be right. I just wanted to show you that it is possible that way. There we are. So that's the parsnips ready for boiling now. So we're going to put them on the stove in some salted boiling water and boil them for 3 minutes. So while the parsnips are having their 3 minutes in the boiling water, I'm going to prepare the chicken. They're already skinned, so that's great. On the plate and season them with salt and pepper. Right, that's the chicken ready for cooking. Oh, and I mustn't forget to wipe down my salt and pepper after handling the chicken. Hopefully that's killed some bugs. There we go. Now we're ready to go back to the parsnips. Now I'm going to boil the parsnips for 3 minutes. So I've got a pan, I've got a boiled kettle. And wait for it to come back to the boil. We've got the water boiling nicely now, so I'm going to pop the parsnips in. Pop the biggest ones in first, because they'll take the longest to cook. I'm going to cook them for 3 minutes, and after a minute I'm going to put the thinner ones in. Now I'm going to add in the thinner parsnips. And let them boil for a further 2 minutes. The parsnips have had 3 minutes boiling, and now I'm going to drain them and then put the lid back on the pan quickly to keep them in the steam, to keep them hot. So that's the parsnips drained. I'm keeping the steam in. And so now I'm going to pop a bit of salt and freshly ground black pepper into the flour, the 85 grams of flour we had. And now I'm adding the 25 grams of freshly grated parmesan. Mix that all up together. Right, so that's ready now to coat the parsnips. Now, when I've coated each parsnip, I'm going to pop it onto the plate, ready for cooking in the oven later. So I do these one at a time, toss them in the floury mixture. I'll try 2 at a time. You need to work quickly whilst they're still steamy, and obviously you need to be careful not to burn yourself. Well, I've got 3 this time, because it's the steam that lets the floury cheesy mixture stick. Last ones. Right. So that's the parmesan coated parsnips. And once they've cooled down, you could pop them in the fridge now. I think you could probably put them in the freezer at this point as well. I haven't tried that, but I think you probably could. We're going to keep this until just before the parsnips go in the oven, because sometimes when they've been sitting on the plate, the underneath loses some of its coating, so sometimes I pop them back in again at the last minute. So they will be ready to go into hot olive oil and vegetable oil mixture in the oven to roast. But we'll pop those in the oven when we're cooking the chicken in the oven. So I'll just leave them to cool for now. So now to cook the chicken. I've lit the gas, and I'm going to add some olive oil. and wait for it to get warm. Waited for the olive oil to heat up, and it looks as if it's starting to shimmer now, so I'm going to add the chicken. And that's going to need about 6 to 8 minutes on each side. Chicken's had 6 minutes on the first side, so I'm going to turn it over now. And leave it for another 6 minutes to 8 minutes on the second side. So the chicken's had another 7 minutes on the other side, and you can see that it's not fully cooked yet, but not to worry because it's going into the oven to continue cooking. This first cooking process was really about browning it and starting it off. So now I'm going to put them into the oven-proof dish. That's the chicken ready in the oven-proof dish. And now, before I start to make the sauce in this pan, I'm going to pour off some of the fat because the chicken has released quite a lot of fat. Now turn down the heat to medium. And add the butter. And when the butter's melted, I'll add the garlic, which won't need much cooking, so I'll just give it 15 seconds or so that it doesn't burn. That's the garlic in. That smells great. And now the flour. And now the lemon juice for our lemony chicken. And now the chicken stock. Now I'll add some already grated black pepper, about 1/4 teaspoon, not too much, not like last time. And the herbs. 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano and 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. Lovely. And now I'm going to taste it and see if we need any more salt. because you can always add salt, can't take it out. Let's have a wee taste of that. Ooh, it's lemony. I'm not sure if it might need a bit more salt. Alan, what do you think? Doesn't need any more salt. So now I'm going to pour that on to the chicken. And turn the heat off. And now I'm going to add the sliced lemons here and there. And a bit of lemon juice, just in case it wasn't lemony enough. And that's ready to go in the oven. And it will go into the fan oven, 180. That would be 200 without a fan, around about gas mark 7, I think. And I'll have a look at it after 20 minutes and see how it's getting on. I'm going to cook it until, well, I was going to say falling off the bone. It hasn't got any bones, but until it's falling apart. Now for the parmesan parsnips. I've got some rapeseed oil here, which I've been warming in the oven, but I'm just going to bring it up to very hot before I put the parsnips in it. And I've decided I'm only going to cook enough to fit into this tray. I'm going to freeze the rest. So that's the oil. Starting to smoke. I'm retossing them in the parmesan mix where I think they need it. They don't all need it. Whoops. One more. There we go. So these are going in the oven now, and probably for the same time as the chicken, which is already in. And after 10 minutes or so, I'll turn them over in the fat. Now it's time to turn the parsnips over in their oil. They're much like roast potatoes in the way that they cook. Now those are going back in the oven for at least another 15 minutes. The parsnips have had another 10 minutes or so in the oven, and I'm going to take them out now and drain them off the oil and then put them back in the oven to crisp up. So rather than drain them off the oil, I'm just going to put them onto another tray. It's easier. And they'll be ready in another 5 or 10 minutes. Dinner time. So I'm going to get the parsnips out of the oven now. They look great. Now, we've already started to plate up. These parsnips look nice and crisp. Lovely. And now for the lemony chicken. That looks great. And some lemony sauce. I'm going to try a parsnip now. Nice and soft in the middle, crunchy on the outside. Wait for it to cool a bit. That's great. And I'm tasting the chicken now. It really is falling apart. It's good. The sauce is lovely and lemony. Not too lemony for me. If it was a bit lemony for you, you could always add some cream to it at the last minute to tone it down a bit. But it's just the job for me. So I hope you've enjoyed watching us cook this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Every viewing is very much appreciated. Thank you.